What's up, guys? Thanks for joining me on the channel today. We're going to be covering the C8 Corvette, providing you with a full walk around just like you should whenever you purchase a brand new Corvette. We're going to cover everything there is to know about it, as well as a little bit of history. Thanks for joining in with PoPo Jones today. Let's get to it. Now, before we get too far into this, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Plus, you'll always get notifications whenever I release another video, which I'm always producing C8 or C7 Corvette videos. Now, we're going to start off by talking about the power that the C8 Corvette produces versus the C7 Corvette, if you're familiar with that. The C7 produced 455 horsepower with its LT1 engine. The C8 has an LT2 engine, the new version of that motor, which is still a V8 gas engine, 6.2 liter, which produces 495 horsepower and 470 pounds-of-foot torque. The C8 Stingray has a top speed of 194 miles per hour and has a 0 to 60 time in 2.9 seconds. Now, there are two body styles to every single Stingray Corvette. We have our coupe with the removable top, and we also have our convertible. You can see the coupe over here on our left side and the convertible over here on my right side. Now, the father of the Corvette, Zora Arkus Duntov, joined the team in 1955 as one of the original engineers. Zora began working on a mid-engine Corvette right from the very beginning. As a matter of fact, he produced about 6 or 7 different prototypes throughout his entire time with General Motors. General Motors never really caught on to the idea, though, and by the time he came up with in my opinion, a pretty good prototype, they had already had great success with the front engine Corvette, and they didn't see any reason to switch over at that point, which I guess I would agree with them. However, on the C7 Corvette, the engineering team came to a conclusion that they had reached the maximum performance that they could with the front engine Corvette, which ultimately led them to develop and create what we know now as the C8 Corvette, or the mid-engine Corvette. Now, I'll be honest with you, when I first saw a C8, I really wasn't a big fan. Initially, I really thought that General Motors was trying to replicate a European car, some type of supercar like a Lamborghini. And it wasn't until I really learned about Arkus Duntov and everything that he did in his work before I realized that, you know what, the mid-engine Corvette is what it was supposed to really be from the very beginning. Now, according to tradition, the way that they usually work with the generation of Corvettes, they start with the Stingray, they'll produce that for a couple of years, then they come out with the Z06 for each generation, then finally the ZR1, which they generally only produce for 1 year before they move on to their next generation. With 2025 coming around the corner, we're expecting the release of the ZR1 at the end of this year, and then I really think that we'll be looking at a C9 shortly thereafter. Now, there's been a lot of speculation that on the next generation of Corvettes that they'll go back to a front engine Corvette. And of course, that's just speculation, but I don't really think that that's going to be the case. General Motors has had great success with the mid-engine Corvette. On top of that, I believe it was 1965 that had the most sales of a Corvette in 1 year, and 2023 surpassed that with a mid-engine Corvette. I believe altogether we were looking at 55 to 60,000 Corvettes that were produced and sold in the year 2023. So I could be completely wrong, but with the great success that General Motors has had with the C8 Corvette, I believe that with the next generation, we will continue to see that mid-engine Corvette that has really pushed Corvette into a whole new level of supercar, exotic car, whatever it is that you want to call it. But there's a whole new generation of folks that have gotten into the Corvettes, a younger generation that have purchased that, and I just don't really see them getting away from it. Now that we've covered some history of the C8 Corvette and my opinion, we're going to go ahead and jump in and do the full walk around and show you all the features and everything that you should know as a new Corvette owner. Now, I like to start on the outside of the car, starting with the key fob. On the back side, we're going to start here. We'll unlock the car, and we'll start by just pressing the trunk of the button on the trunk 2 times. And we popped the trunk. Now, it does not work the same way for the front. Even though it says press it 2 times, it's a little bit differently. You're going to press it once and then press again, but hold it down versus just releasing it. Some people don't really know that, and so they think their front is not working, but they're just not using it the right way. So we're going to press that 1, 2, hold down. And I just heard the front pop. There is a button right here underneath the headlight on the driver's side. It's located right here. It's just a little rubber button. I'll press that, hold it down, and press it twice. There we go. And now our front has popped, and we'll go ahead and lift that up. There's a button right underneath right here. It's also rubber. You can feel it very well. You hold that button down, and it will pop your trunk. Now, the 2 additional ways to pop your front or your trunk are the buttons right down here in the side of the driver's side door. Now, the key fob on your convertible has an extra button right down here, which if I unlock the car and then hold down this button, it will open up the top. As you can see here, you do have to continue to press that button. You heard the ding. The lights also flashed, letting you know that the process is complete. There is a button right here, an additional 2 buttons actually compared to the coupe. This one will raise the top. Another cool thing about the convertible is that the top will go down and up as long as you're under 30 miles per hour. So any speed up to that point, it'll still function for you. Now I've got a couple of things to show you up here. For one, we're going to jump straight to the trickle charger, which most people do know about, but there is a plug right here for that, so that if you're not driving your vehicle that often, you're leaving it parked in the garage, you need to plug that up because these vehicles are very demanding with the electrical power, and it will drain your battery if you leave it plugged or leave it parked for a prolonged amount of time. Now, if you do need to access your battery, it is located right here underneath this cover. This cover is not too hard to remove. You start on the side right here. This, you can see this flap right here. It pops out. We'd pull it straight out. And then there's another one over here on this side. And once that's done, this entire centerpiece right here will come straight up out. Now, if you opened up your frunk and you found a bag with 2 of these things right here and you're wondering what those are, well, that is a channel for funneling air to the brake system on the rear of the vehicle to cool it off. So if you are going to track that vehicle, you can put these on there. You will need a lift in order to get to them. However, you do not want to use these when you're just driving out on the road because it will cause rock pebbles or gravel or things of that nature. You'll funnel it straight through here into your braking system, and it could cause damage to your brake pads or to your rotor. Now, if you walk up to your vehicle and try and get into it, but you find that it will not unlock itself, well, it means 2 things. Either one, your key fob is dead, or the battery on the car is dead. Now, you'll know real quick which one of the 2 are dead, because whenever you do access that vehicle, if it's the key fob that's dead, you're going to set the alarm off on that car. Now, on the 2020, 2021, and I believe still the 2022, there is a hole right back here behind the plate that you can use to place the key out of the key fob into to unlock the trunk of the vehicle. However, on the 23 and 24 and possibly the 22, it's somewhere right in there, is whenever it changed over, they did not include the keyhole behind the plate. There is still one on all models just underneath the door, which I'm going to show it to you now. Now, on the bottom of your key fob is where your key is at. Now, you'll see it's kind of popped out right here because I've done that already. It's hard to do this one-handed, but there's a little button right here on the side. If you press that in, you'll be able to pull the bottom of the key fob apart, which is where your key is located. And this is what you'll use to access the vehicle. And the keyhole for that is right underneath the wing here on the driver's side, which I'm going to show you straight back up in there. You can see it right there. Now, when you place that key into the socket there, you'll see that it's facing directly out. You'll turn that counterclockwise, which will open up the door and allow you to enter into the vehicle. So what do you do if it's the car battery that's dead? Well, you can't really get into the frunk with the key because there's no socket there for it. So you got to be able to open it some way. Well, they placed a little pull tag back behind the gas pedal that you can reach, which is a little bit difficult. I'm going to get down there and show you how to do it. This is where you'll find that pull tab. You can see it right there. So if I pull that twice, then my frunk is released, and now I can access the battery. Now that I'm inside the car, I'm going to show you how you can power up the entire vehicle without actually having to turn on the car. Obviously, I'm in a showroom, and the last thing I want to do is fill the building up with exhaust. Now, as long as you have your key fob with you, without putting your foot on the brake, you can come over here to the start button and hold it down. Continue pressing. Continue pressing. Continue pressing. And there we go. Now the vehicle has fully powered on, all of its abilities. Everything's working. I have full control of the electronic system at this point. But I'm going to show you how to save the memory seats. Press set and then immediately hold down the 1 or the 2, depending on which profile you're saving. If you hold that down, what you'll see on the instrument cluster, it'll tell you if it has been saved or not. Now, you can't just press set and then press 1 and release. It's not going to save that way. You can also save an exit position. Now, there are 4 different ways to program the HomeLink system. You can find it in your manual, but you can also find it in another one of my tutorials on my channel. It's a very detailed video. We'll go through all the options and show you exactly how to program it, depending on which way you need to, because again, there are 4 different ways to do it. Now, looking at this little dial right here, this is what changes your driving mode. You can look on the screen right here, and if I rotate it to the right, you'll see that I went from weather mode to my mode, and then from my mode, I can go to tour mode. From tour mode, we'll go to sport, and then on to track. Now, you can see right here on the screen, it's adjusting the way that the vehicle is going to behave, which is pretty cool. You can also see here on the instrument cluster right there in the very center, it tells you what mode you're in as well. So if I switch back over to sport, It'll show me a few different options on the screen layout. And you can also see again that change in the way the vehicle is going to behave right up in here. Now, if I switch it back over into my mode, that's pretty cool because I can customize it. If I click on the steering wheel there, I can adjust it if I want it in tour mode, sport mode, or track mode. I can click on the other options such as the engine sound management. I can change it to track, which is your loudest, sport, just a little bit quieter, tour, and then stealth. In addition to that, we can change the braking to tour, sport, or track also. Now there's another mode that's really cool, which is on your steering wheel here, which is new. This is called Z mode. And if you press that, it'll pull it up. Let's close this out right here. And we can see we have a little bit more options, and we can adjust the way all of this performs, change all of our settings, depending on how we want to drive our vehicle. And that will always be saved and accessible by the controls on your steering wheel here, which lights up red, and it also shows on the instrument cluster you're now in Z mode. Now, something else that I really like in the C8 Corvette is the PDR, the Performance Data Recorder. It can be set so that it is always running just like you had a dash camera. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. There's our PDR mode. I can click on that. Now, I don't have a memory card in this car right now, so I can't do everything for you, like bring up the actual camera, because there is a start recording button right there. You also have a video overlay, which changes the information that you have on there. You can leave it blank, or it can have track information on there. It's got some pretty neat options. Now, if I click over here on settings and I click on automatic recording, I can change this to on. So at this point, every time I start this car, the PDR will engage so long as I have a memory card placed in the vehicle, which is also located in the glove box. I'll show you where that's at. We can come over here and press the button to release the glove box, and then our spot for our memory card is right here. It takes a SD card, and that will allow you to record. You can access those recordings right here on the screen itself, or you can remove the SD card and plug it into your computer at home. Anytime you're driving the vehicle, you can always hit the camera mode right here, which will bring that up. If you're driving down the road, it will stay active for, I believe, 8 seconds, and then it'll cut it off. Now, let's not forget the camera system here in the car that's attached to the rearview mirror. You can change that just to regular mirror, or if you pull up on that switch, it'll switch to the rear camera. This vehicle definitely has blind spots, so something like this does come in a little bit handy. I do like that system. Now, most of you probably know this already, but you do have the wireless phone charging right here in the waterfall in between both seats. Now, if you have a third button located here in front of the dial for changing your mode, it's going to be that front lift. A high incline driveway, or there's some high speed bumps in a particular area that I drive, I can press that front lift and it'll lift the front of the vehicle so that I don't scrape the bottom. Now, what's really cool about that is every time you do that, the vehicle will ask you if you want to save that location, and it'll save up to 2,000 locations. So every time I reapproach that same place, the vehicle will automatically raise the front end of the vehicle without me having to tell it to do so. Now, they don't make a C8 with a manual transmission. However, you can switch it over to a manual mode if you'd like. That's what this button is right here. And you have paddle shifters over on the left and the right that you can use to change gears if you'd like. Now, I do hope you never find yourself in a situation where you need this little lever right here, but this is basically your emergency exit button, so that if the car does die, and because it is all electronic, button press right here, you can still exit the vehicle by lifting that lever. Now, there are a lot of cool features on these vehicles that we didn't talk about, such as the electronic folding mirrors, but that covers everything that you need to know as a new Corvette owner. Now, I am in sales, so I have lots of Corvettes here right now for sale. All of these are $1,000 under MSRP. No add-ons, no hassle. Call or text me at my personal cell phone number, 903-780-5422. Fly in, I'll pick you up at the airport, or I'll ship anywhere in the country. Thanks for rolling with PoPo Jones. Check out my other videos on the page, and I look forward to seeing you guys later.